What's up, guys? Back with another Bible study. The last chapter I did was Revelation 12. I stopped at Revelation 13, which is about the beast, and there's a whole lot that goes into that, which some of which I still don't fully understand, and I'm getting there. But to understand Revelation 13, you have to understand a lot of the book of Daniel. And so I was led in the meantime to go back to the book of Daniel and start studying through the book of Daniel. And whenever Yah leads, I'll be back in Revelation and finish up Revelation. In the 3rd year of the reign of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came to Jerusalem and besieged it. And we see that siege right here. I mean, it's a part of secular history when Nebuchadnezzar took over Jerusalem. The siege of Jerusalem was a military campaign carried out by Nebuchadnezzar II, king of Babylon, in 597 BC, which, after looking into it, it was a little bit closer to 606, I believe. According to the Nebuchadnezzar Chronicle, King Jehoiakim of Judah rebelled against Babylonian rule, but Nebuchadnezzar captured the city and installed Zedekiah as ruler. And we see right here, archaeological evidence was found for this siege that's spoken of here in the beginning of the book of Daniel. And Jehoiakim was a son of Josiah. He was one of the last kings of Judah. And if you don't know, Judah is just a part of Israel. In the days after Solomon, Israel was split up between the southern kingdom of Judah, which we see right here, Rehoboam. That was Solomon's son. And he was the first king of Judah. And then we see the kings of Israel, which is the northern 10 tribes here. The kings of Israel until they were scattered into the nations. In the 3rd year of the reign of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came to Jerusalem and besieged it. The Lord gave Jehoiakim, king of Judah, into his hand, along with some of the vessels of the house of God, and he brought them to the land of Shinar, to the house of his God, and he brought the vessels into the treasury of his God. And we're going to learn later on that Nebuchadnezzar is a type of the Antichrist, and some of the prophecies the Antichrist referred to as Nebuchadnezzar. Then the king ordered Ashpenaz, the chief of his officials, to bring in some of the sons of Israel, including some of the royal family and of the nobles, youths in whom was no defect. Now we're going to see, we're shown a picture of the 144,000 here in Daniel chapter 1. As we see right here, youths in whom was no defect. And if we go over here to Revelation 14, chapter 5, and no lie was found in their mouth. They're blameless, no defect. Then the king ordered Ashpenaz, the chief of his officials, to bring in some of the sons of Israel, including some of the royal family and some of the nobles, youths in whom was no defect, who were good-looking, showing intelligence and every branch of wisdom, endowed with understanding and discerning knowledge, and who had ability for serving in the king's court. And he ordered him to teach them the literature and language of the Chaldeans, or Chaldeans. And the Chaldeans we learn from Britannica.com. Chaldean was used by several ancient authors to denote the priests and other persons educated in the classical Babylonian literature, especially in the traditions of astronomy and astrology. And right here, BibleStudyTools.com, recent discoveries, more especially in Babylonia, have thrown much light on the history of the Hebrew patriarchs and have illustrated or confirmed the biblical narrative in many points. The ancestor of the Hebrew people, Abram, was, we are told, born at Ur of the Chaldees. Chaldees is a mistranslation of the Hebrew Kasdim, Kasdim being the Old Testament name of the Babylonians. While the Chaldees were a tribe who lived on the shores of the Persian Gulf and did not become a part of the Babylonian population until the time of Hezekiah. So the Chaldeans were a people group who practiced astronomy, astrology, sorcery, magic, and became mixed in with the Babylonians. The king appointed them, and he ordered them to teach Daniel and other the Jewish boys the literature and the language of the Chaldeans. The king appointed for them a daily ration from the king's choice food and from the wine which he drank. And food and drink that represents doctrine and teachings. We see speaking about learning the literature and language of the Chaldeans and a daily ration of food and wine. And at the end, and appointed that they should be educated 3 years, at the end of which they were to enter the king's personal service, which is interesting. And the 3 years is, interesting as well, because we have the Revelation 12 sign for September 23rd, 2017. And we're coming up on the 3rd year. Anniversary of that this fall. And appointed that they should be educated 3 years, at the end of which they were to enter the king's personal service. Now among them from the sons of Judah were Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Then the commander of the officials assigned new names to them. And there's another thing, the new name. We also see that in Revelation 14 here. Then I looked, and behold, the Lamb was standing on Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, having his name and the name of the Father written on their foreheads. And we're given a new name, sing a new song. And to Daniel he assigned the name Belteshazzar, to Hananiah Shadrach, to Mishael Meshach, and to Azariah Abednego. But Daniel made up his mind that he would not defile himself with the king's choice food, or with the wine which he drank. And that's like what we see right here in Revelation 14, verse 4. These are the ones who have not been defiled with women, which represents false teachings and false doctrines. So we see Daniel made up his mind that he would not defile himself with the king's choice food or the wine which he drank. So he sought permission from the commander of the officials that he might not defile himself. Now God granted Daniel favor and compassion in the sight of the commander of the officials. And the commander of the officials said to Daniel, I am afraid of my lord the king, who has appointed your food and drink. For why should he see your faces looking more haggard, or worse, more rough, than the youths who are your own age? Then you would make me forfeit my head to the king. But Daniel said to the overseer, whom the commander of the officials had appointed over Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, please test your servants for 10 days, and let us be given some vegetables to eat and water to drink. Then let our appearance be observed in your presence, and the appearance of the youths who are eating the king's choice food, and deal with your servants according to what you see. So he said, so we see the picture we're given here in Daniel as a type and shadow. We're given a type and shadow of what is actually going to happen, that we see over here in Revelation chapter 2 with the church of Smyrna. Do not fear what you are about to suffer. Behold, the devil is about to cast some of you into prison, so that you will be tested, and you will have tribulation for 10 days. Be faithful until death, and I will give you the crown of life. All believers need to be prepared for that possibility. Yes, we pray that God will spare us and have mercy and deliver us from the coming time of trouble. But some of us are going to have to endure tribulation. Some of us are going to have to suffer and die for his name. And we have to be ready for that. But we see that 10 days here in Daniel, because Daniel, as a type of the 144,000 and also the wise virgins, the wise virgins decided he's not going to defile himself. It's like the 144,000 not defile himself with the false doctrines and ways of the world, the commands of men. He decided to keep God's commandments, and in store, and because of that, was tested 10 days, just like we see here, because the church of Smyrna is not rebuked for anything, meaning they're following God. They have faith. They're walking in his ways. But still they have to suffer. So he listened to them in this matter and tested them for 10 days. At the end of the 10 days, their appearance seemed better, and they were fatter than the youths who had been eating the king's choice food. So they looked at the end of the 10 days. They appeared better. And, at the end of the 10 days, the crown of life is given. New glorified body. So the overseer continued to withhold their choice food and the wine which they were to drink, and kept giving them vegetables. As for these 4 youths, God gave them knowledge and intelligence in every branch of literature and wisdom. Daniel even understood all kinds of visions and dreams. Then at the end of the days which the king had specified for presenting them, the commander of the officials presented them before Nebuchadnezzar. The king talked with them, and out of all of them, not one was found like Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. So they entered the king's personal service. And that's what we strive for, to enter the king's personal service. As for every matter of wisdom and understanding about which the king consulted them, he found them 10 times better than all the magicians and conjurers who were in all his realm. And Daniel continued until the first year of Cyrus the king. That's the end of Daniel 1. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be getting into Daniel 2 tomorrow. God bless.